I am grateful that you're here. We are grateful to live and work on land that was long stewarded by the Duwamish and Coast Salish people. Today is a really exciting Open the Paths. It's the 8th, so that's a big landmark for us. We kind of work in quarters often, and as it happens, we just made it through 2, so that's one fantastic for us. I have a wonderful team that helped put this together. If you could raise your hand, part of the Tasker Center group. Yay. And don't forget Pam outside, who really has done a major lift for this, so very much appreciated. I also want to recognize the production team who has worked relentlessly to allow us to have a hybrid conference for the last 3 to 5 years, and allow the ASL interpretation and captioning to happen. This year it is on Zoom, so if you require those services, please log into Zoom through your own device, and you'll be able to find both the live captioning and the ASL interpreter stream. Anyone requires assistance with that, please raise your hand and we'll attend to that. Okay. We are sponsored today by King County Metro, AI for Accessibility at Microsoft, and the ITS for Us US DOT JPO program. And we are very thankful for our sponsors. Before we begin, I wanted to get a show of hands for folks who had to travel far to get here. Toronto. Well, so actually I was going to say I wanted a show of hands for those who had to travel far for you to get here. And that is all dependent on who you might be and how difficult travel might be for you. So my discussion today is about how we moved from lived experience to statewide impact, our attempt at building accessible transportation data through both human and AI collaborations, as well as shared stewardship. And stewardship starts at the core on the ground, and I think your presence here is a testament to that. We try to work with varied and heterogeneous communities, and our hope is to maintain those partnerships and stewardships, and just that people show up year after year, including those who have birthdays on the day of. That's a testament to the continued concern and support, and sometimes, questioning and challenging that we might have from our stewards and partners, and we appreciate that. So the Tasker Center itself, for those who have not shown up before, is sitting in the Paul G. Allen School for Computer Science and Engineering. Our aim is to develop, translate, and deploy technologies that increase independence and quality of life, focusing on all people, but specifically attending to the concerns of people who live with disabilities. And when we think about accessibility first transportation, this is kind of a pathway that we've achieved over years. We start with community and trying to understand what the, like we said, lived experience, the day-to-day living considerations are. And that, only that, allows us to drive standards. So when we participate in standard groups that are sometimes top-down, like a recent Bureau of Transportation Statistics effort, it's always important to bring in those community experiences as well to drive the development of standards and schemas. A lot of times it's hard to have people in the room, especially when the room is a 2-year-long journey of schematizing and standardization processes, but those are still things that we should aim for and continue to work on as a goal. So community is really where it starts. And then on standardizing, we will have several folks today talking about schemas and data and tooling, And it really is all reliant on the ability to have interoperable data exposed and maintained and updated, and basically have the continuous cycle of fix it, use it, maintain it, and fix it again. And unfortunately for that, that means that standards that are interoperable also have to come with a tooling ecosystem that maintains those things, and that is able to promote the full life cycle of the data, from collection to verification and validation, to the use and maintenance, to the continued support of different streams of fixing and updates, which means that different democratic processes happen as data is being updated and maintained. And so a lot of times, while we get criticized for building too many tools or focusing on too many tools, it really is about the continued support for different types of data entries and different types of data challenges and comments that we need to support in order to provide that cycle and provide that democratic digital discourse over the data. And so finally, the stewardship is what matters, right? So if we have an ecosystem of tools that really is supportive and designed to create engagement, as opposed to designed to drive engagement away, which a lot of tooling sometimes start out that way. Maybe not necessarily by design. You know, the designers often have good purpose and goals and objectives, but might be missing the marks when it comes to user testing and the ability to really forecast what kind of engagement they might have. So this drives us back to community, working with the communities. And so our discussion really is about a virtuous cycle. It's an ideal. It's something that we try to achieve here, and sometimes we succeed. And my hope is to convince you today that through the support of the state, we were able to at least start out on our goal of having that kind of stewardship process that human and AI contextualize within the lived experience of folks. And so today you can look at OS-CONNECT. OS-CONNECT was an effort through the 2023 to 25 biennium and is also presently supported to continue and collect all sidewalks and crossings in the state of Washington and have that digital inventory reflective of what's really on the ground. And the important part about this is that it is a connected graph as opposed to a layer that has inventories, or what we often internally call bean counting. And the difference is that it allows us to not just provide a collection of entries or assets for asset management, but allows us to also create navigable understandings of where people are able to connect, how they are able to access and reach different places. And very soon, when we're able to connect this layer with road networks and the transit and transportation network, we're going to be able to provide a much fuller picture of where people have the freedom to access and reach in the state of Washington. And frankly, that's a picture that no other state has or is even close to. And so for that, I think I need to thank all of you for your continued support and participation, because this kind of work would not have been able to be done or even supported through the state without folks who are in this room, both the Zoom room and in this room, that have promoted this kind of vision throughout whatever channels you're able to work with, whether it's through community practices, through engaging communities in communal work and providing agency to other people to tell their stories and express what it is that they need in order to access and reach different places. Also, to the community advocacy and organizations that are here. This takes a lot of work in order to get people to come out of their daily journeys and actually talk about what kinds of barriers and challenges they face. And additionally, of course, for folks in different agencies, whether it be different transit agencies or departments of transportations, because we have to look past that and look past the fear in order to promote this work and really motivate what needs to happen in order to fully understand and metricize what it is that we have today and how we can, through stages, be able to show that we've made some progress. We have a video that you may have seen, and we don't have sound. Great. Oh, wait. Essential services to grocery stores to our workplaces and health options.
And everybody uses sidewalks, whether you're walking, rolling, driving, getting to transit. We all depend on sidewalks to get to where we need to go safely.
1 in 4 Americans face transportation barriers that leave them disconnected. Unlike the road network, we just don't have data about where sidewalks are failing people, where they're disconnected, or are in poor condition.
That's why Washington became the first state to invest in a statewide pedestrian data set.
OS-CONNECT accounts for all the sidewalks and crossings in Washington state, where they are, what condition they're in, and how they are connected.
OS-CONNECT data feeds into 2 powerful applications. For travelers, Access Map is a personalized pedestrian wayfinding tool. Walksheds helps planners visualize real accessibility in their streets.
Access Map provides some information that others don't. For instance, it gives me cues about non-visual landmarks such as benches, bollards, street poles that I will encounter.
Slide right and cross the street. Surface, concrete.
I put in my power wheelchair preference, and it routes me to where I need to go according to my mobility needs.
We use cutting-edge AI, computational work, and digital discourse tools to engage communities in that conversation and crowdsource the data. And we result in the most comprehensive, detailed, vetted, statewide data set for sidewalks and crossings.
OS-CONNECT helps me get around safely, and it also empowers cities and agencies to improve pedestrian access for everyone.
Using Access Map lets me get a better idea of the route that I'm going to be planning and giving to the people currently taking access. It lets me look for barriers like incline, curb cuts, things that would end a trip. It lets me see those things ahead of time and know what I'm looking for in the field.
Good data makes it easy for planners and designers to do their work and with greater focus on the details that make or break pedestrian infrastructure. It can help them spot safety and quality of life issues so that they can be addressed more quickly and systematically. Today, WashDOT's roadway focused because we have to. The roads are the only part of the network we have a complete view of. Adding sidewalk data will allow us to rethink the network from the ground up. The pedestrian infrastructure will be part of the core network that we'll see every time we look at a map.
Washington is absolutely leading the nation in understanding safety and how it connects to pedestrian infrastructure. And also it is leading the nation in trying to identify computational and innovative technical ways to address these challenges.
We're asking for support to complete our sidewalk mapping data project in order to make this data real change on the ground.
If we don't get this funding, Washington State loses momentum that it's gained in creating walkable, sustainable communities that are safe for everyone.
My hope is that Access Map would be available everywhere, just how Google Maps is available.
It's such an important tool in order for people to get around, and especially now with housing issues, to be able to plan ahead neighborhoods and being able to see if there's going to be hills that are too steep or inaccessible sidewalks. Hopefully we can connect all of our sidewalks.
Now we need legislative support to continue the effort in order to improve the data and also allow people to use it downstream in an active, usable way. So thank you for that. So hopefully you're now with me on this journey where there's a lot of moving parts. We will start out with Amos Miller, who is the CEO of Glidance. Glidance is an industry partner that we have had. They are creating a device that is intended to replace cane and white cane walking. And the use of AI on device itself paired with the sidewalks data is really what we're trying to work out so that you have access to both sort of the global network and where people might be connected, as well as the tactical information, as in, do I have 3 feet of clearance to continue forward? And so the pairing of that data is what really gives navigational power to the device. Later on, we're going to have 3 other partners that are collecting data. There's an effort in Oregon State presently to collect sidewalks data for large municipalities, I believe. We will hear from Teresa Conley from Oregon DOT. We will also hear from a UW professor because they wrote a TCRP about the current state of data collections across different places in the US. And so that gives us kind of a broader view of where people are collecting and how, and what kind of information is currently being collected. And lastly, we will have King County Metro here to attest to how they are using OS-CONNECT and what kinds of tooling we're building for transit providers to integrate the knowledge within their own understanding of how are people connecting to transit, what kinds of improvements might be done, how to engage transit riders in providing more data and information. And so that will be in our morning. And then lastly, Jeff will start us off on a little bit of a hands-on journey on how to open your jurisdictional packet for OS-CONNECT to kind of understand how we're doing some quality checking. So this brings me back to this cycle. The data is there. The data was collected using AI and stochastic-based methods. That's statistics. Statistics are not always correct. And of course, we have done a lot of work internally to create human and AI tools together so that every sidewalk and crossing that is currently published in OS-CONNECT has been hand-vetted. However, it was hand-vetted against the imagery set that we had. So at the time, still today, the current state of aerial imagery in Washington State comes from imagery collected in 2023. And so as you may imagine, that might be out of date in some places, and we're aware that those places need to be improved data-wise to have the digital record match what's on the ground. The tooling that we're creating to do that range from a set of desktop-based tools so that if a jurisdiction actually knows and has a digital record of where those changes have occurred over time, they're able to upload it en masse. But many jurisdictions don't have that information, and we want to be able to accommodate for those situations as well. Other tools that we've created have more to do with on-the-ground kind of vetting that would occur sporadically, either through agencies with a vetted release process, because we do understand that agencies have sometimes a difficult time working with crowdsourcing and crowdsourced environments in order to vet and release and stamp the kinds of data sets they want to be able to publish. In addition, we have crowdsourcing tools that allow us to engage communities of practice to propose changes to the data sets in ways that range from using it within the navigation tool, which Kunal will show us later on, as well as through like an actual collection app that provides people the ability to give us structured data. So support for structured data is through an app that's called Aviv Scout Route, and that for less structured data that's just like, oh, you told me there's a curb ramp here, but actually it was not here. That's done through the navigation tool itself, so they don't have to switch to a different kind of app. So these are the kinds of ways that we're trying to provide different ways for different types of stewardship and community engagement in the digital discourse that I talked about before. But the stewardship loop really does require everyone, and different kinds of environments require different kinds of stewardships. The structure that it takes on in rural environments, for example, would be very, very different than large urban settings, and we acknowledge that. And so we try to kind of be able to plan for that. But my hope for you and my assignment for today is to chime up when you see different types of tools that may accommodate the kinds of needs that you see out there or you might have yourself, but are not quite there. So like tweaks and changes are really things that we are welcoming of your comments and challenging what we have, because this is still in process and still being built. And we really value the thought process, the ideas that you might have, because of course you come with a very different background than we do. And so that's our hoped for goal for today. In the afternoon, we'll have a few more kind of thought-provoking sessions about how data and this data has been used and could be used in the future. And we hope that to get your comment, information, chatting, raise your hands. I hope that I speak for all speakers, that you can just engage with us as we go along. I haven't asked Amos actually, so maybe not. We'll hear in a minute. Thank you.